So the ATF just sent a warning letter to Texas gun stores, telling them that the new suppressor law in the state is invalid. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think that we should abolish the ATF, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also real quick, I want to thank everybody who's watched the channel, who's subscribed to the channel, who's commented down below on these videos over the last month. You guys have really helped this channel expand. Over this last month, it's blown up. We're reaching more individuals, and that's all because of you guys. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for supporting me. And if you guys see value in these videos, please comment down below, even just commenting, hey, I'm commenting to fuel the algorithm. That really does help the channel. You guys are impacting the channel. And also, if you're a new subscriber, go ahead and comment down below that you're a new subscriber, and I will make sure I comment back to you. So without further ado, let's get into this video. So recently, the state of Texas passed a new bill called the Suppressor Freedom Bill, also known as HB 957. This bill goes into effect on September 1st of 2021, so here pretty soon. And HB 957, in the main section a lot of people are talking about, being section 2052, claims to exempt silencers or suppressors which are manufactured in Texas and which remain in Texas from federal firearms laws and regulations, including the federal registration requirements under federal law. Now, the general claim behind this law and why it was passed is that since these items are made in Texas and they remain in Texas, they do not fall under the interstate commerce, and therefore they fall outside the purview of federal regulation and regulation by the ATF and enforcement by the ATF. Now, for some of you, you may be asking yourself at this point, what does that mean? What is interstate commerce? Well, in its simplest terms, it is the buying, selling, or moving of products, services, or other money across state borders. So it all has to do with crossing state borders. So the argument here is that if these items never cross state lines, the ATF and the federal government has no authority over them under the Commerce Clause. Now, there are some caveats with this law. For example, when you look at the text, the law requires that the suppressors made in Texas, staying in Texas, must be stamped made in Texas, and it still treats these items as firearms. So it doesn't completely remove them from regulations. It also states that it bars local agencies, entities, and law enforcement officers from enforcing inconsistent federal laws against individuals in the state of Texas. So as far as enforcement against state actors, there are some protections under this bill. But this doesn't necessarily give you protection against federal actors, and that's kind of the whole purpose of the ATF's letter to these gun stores. Now, that's just a quick background of this law and some of the issues that are being presented here. Now, let's talk about the letter that the ATF sent to all gun stores in the state of Texas in regards to this law that was passed. The letter sent out by the ATF to all gun stores is titled An Open Letter to All Texas Federal Firearms Licensees. Now, here is the language in that letter. The purpose of this letter is to provide guidance on your obligations as a federal firearms licensee, or FFL, in Texas. The following guidance is intended to assist you in accomplishing this goal. This letter does not impose any new obligations. It merely confirms the continuing applicability of existing federal obligations. The passage of Texas House Bill 957 with an effective date of September 1st of 2021 has generated questions from industry members as to how this state law may affect them while engaged in a firearms business actively. HB 957 claims to exempt silencers, also known as suppressors, that are manufactured in Texas and which remain in Texas from federal firearms laws and regulations, including the federal registration requirements. However, because HB 957 directly conflicts with federal firearms laws and regulations, federal law supersedes HB 957. In summary, all provisions of the GCA and the NFA, including their corresponding regulations, continue to apply to FFLs and other persons in Texas. As you know, 18 U.S.C. Section 923 requires a license to engage in the business of manufacturing or dealing in firearms, even if the firearms remain within the same state. All firearms manufactured by a licensee must be properly marked. Additionally, pursuant to 27 CFR Section 478.123, each licensee must record the type, model, and caliber or gauge and serial number of each firearm manufactured or otherwise acquired, and the date such manufacture or other acquisition was made. The required information must be recorded in the licensee's records no later than the 7th day following the date such manufacture or other acquisition was made. In addition to possessing a license under the GCA, 26 U.S.C. Section 5801 requires a federal firearms licensee engage in the business of manufacturing or dealing in NFA firearms, including silencers, to pay a special occupation tax. Furthermore, an approved ATF Form 4 and an ATF Form 4473 is required prior to the disposition of an NFA firearm to an unlicensed person. The approved Form 4 indicates registration of the firearm/silencer to the transferee in the National Firearms Registration and Transfer Record. These federal requirements apply regardless of whether the NFA firearm/silencer has crossed state lines. So that is the letter that was sent from the ATF to all gun stores in the state of Texas, essentially telling them that despite this Texas House bill, they are still going to treat these items as under their control, under their purview, under their regulations, and that failure to comply with federal laws will likely result in some charges, crimes, penalties, revoking of licenses, etc. So what are the main implications of this Texas law in the ATF's letter to Texas? What's going to kind of come out of this? A lot of people are asking me, so what does this all mean? Well, first and foremost, there's likely going to be litigation surrounding this issue. And the litigation is likely going to center around two main things. It's going to be the Commerce Clause and taxation powers. When it comes to the Commerce Clause, the question likely before the court in this case would be whether or not this is intrastate or interstate. So we'll see that pop up. And this is something that's been litigated in a case that we're going to talk about just in a second. But the other main kind of legal area of battle is going to be taxation powers. So under Article 1, Section 8, Congress has the power to lay and collect taxes, which they did under the NFA. However, a recent Supreme Court case, the Sebelius case, which dealt with the whole Obamacare issue, outlined what a proper constitutional tax is. There, the Supreme Court said that a proper tax cannot be punitive, it must be for generating revenue, it can't be a tax so high that it is coercive, and essentially there also cannot be some sort of criminal intent or criminal punishment or direct criminal punishment attached to the tax, which when you look at the NFA and its regulation of suppressors and other items, it would clearly fail under multiple aspects of what a valid constitutional tax is. So it's going to be interesting to see how the court addresses this whole tax issue when it comes to suppressors. Now, one thing to note is that there is a 10th Circuit case out there that dealt with a similar Kansas state suppressor law. There, a specific individual kind of tried to do what a lot of people are thinking about doing in the state of Texas, acquiring a suppressor made in the state that remains in the state. That individual then posted, I believe, on social media, and of course the ATF saw it, went ahead and prosecuted him. When the 10th Circuit looked at that case, they ended up kind of skirting around and getting out of this case using that total taxation power issue that we talked about here. Now, what's a little bit different with the Texas state law than the Kansas law is there's a mechanism where someone who would like to manufacture a suppressor in the state of Texas and would like to sell them in the state of Texas for them to remain in the state of Texas can petition the Attorney General of Texas, and then that AG can seek a declaration and a declaratory judgment from the courts to find that this state law does not violate federal law. So that is likely going to be the mechanism in which this case goes through, which is a lot different from the Kansas whole issue where an individual was specifically charged with violating federal law. This is going to be a little bit different. So hopefully that gave you guys some clarity on this Texas suppressor law issue, the letter that the ATF sent, kind of the position of the state, the position of the ATF, and where this litigation is likely going to go forward, and the kind of the battle that is going to happen between the two sides. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you like these videos, like I said, the best way to support the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm. It helps to signal to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos, in this type of two-way news, and it pushes it to more individuals. Like I said in the beginning, you guys are having a huge impact on this channel, and it really is helping to spread this channel to more individuals, and I cannot thank you enough. So if you guys don't even have a comment in mind, just comment down below. You're commenting to fuel the algorithm. Like I said, that really does help these videos. It helps the channel, and you guys can see the impact you are having on my channel and helping to spread two-way news. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and never forget this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.